out, you gold digger!
They made me sit there while his mother poured an entire jug of orange juice over my head. The cold liquid soaked through my hair, dripped down my face, ruined the simple red dress I'd worn hoping to feel pretty for once in that house. "Get out, you gold digger! You charity case!" she screamed, and everyone laughed. My husband laughed. His pregnant mistress laughed. His whole family laughed while I sat there, humiliated, drowning in juice and tears. What they didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I owned the empire that was about to crush them all. My name is Arya, and this is the story of how a love marriage became my greatest weapon. Before I tell you exactly how I destroyed them, I need you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button right now because you need to see what happens when a billionaire gets pushed too far. Turn on those notifications because this revenge is absolutely brutal, and you won't want to miss a single second. Now, let me take you back to that nightmare dinner and show you how everything fell apart before I built it all back up again. I remember every detail of that night like it's burned into my brain. I was sitting at the massive dining table in the Harrison family mansion, that cold, pristine house that never felt like home, no matter how hard I tried. 6 months. We'd only been married for 6 months, and I was still desperately trying to fit in, still hoping that maybe, just maybe, they'd accept me eventually. I was so naive. Benjamin's mother, Gianna, sat at one end of the table in her designer outfit, dripping in jewelry that cost more than most people's cars. His father, Gregory, was at the other end, barely acknowledging my existence like he'd done since the wedding. Benjamin's sister, Jessica, kept shooting me these looks of pure disgust while she sipped her wine. And then there was her, Natasha. This beautiful woman in an elegant white dress, sitting way too close to my husband, her hand resting on her very pregnant belly. I didn't understand what was happening at first. I thought maybe she was a family friend. Maybe someone's wife I hadn't met yet. But the way Benjamin looked at her, the way his hand kept brushing against hers on the table, the way Gianna kept smiling at her like she was some kind of prize, something was very, very wrong. "Arya," Benjamin said suddenly, and the whole table went quiet. His voice was cold, emotionless, like he was reading from a script. "I want a divorce." The room started spinning. I heard the words, but they didn't make sense. "What? Why? Benjamin, we've only been married 6 months. What are you talking about?" He didn't even look at me. "Natasha is pregnant with my child. I love her. This marriage was a mistake." I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. I couldn't breathe. "But we had a love marriage. You chose me. You said I was different, that you loved me for who I was." My voice was breaking, tears already streaming down my face. Natasha actually smirked at me. She rubbed her belly in this deliberately slow way and said, "He never loved you, sweetheart. You were just a distraction." Gianna stood up then, and I thought maybe, just maybe, she was going to defend me, to say this was wrong. Instead, she grabbed the glass jug of orange juice from the table, and before I could even process what was happening, she poured the entire thing over my head. The cold shocked me into silence. Juice ran down my face, into my eyes, soaking my hair and dress. I just sat there, frozen, while she screamed at me, "Get out, you gold digger! You charity case! You trapped my son for his money, and now the truth is out. Finally, Benjamin found a woman from our class, someone who belongs in this family." Jessica was laughing, actually laughing. "Oh my God, Mom, her face. This is perfect." Gregory just nodded approvingly like this was all perfectly reasonable. "You never belonged here, girl. Take whatever dignity you have left and leave." I was sobbing, mascara running with the juice, trying to wipe my eyes. "I loved you, Benjamin. This was real for me. What did I do wrong? Please, just tell me what I did wrong." Benjamin finally looked at me and his eyes were empty. "Just sign the papers and leave. My lawyer will contact you. You'll get nothing from this divorce. You came into this marriage with nothing, and that's exactly what you'll leave with." I was begging by then, completely broken. "Please, Benjamin, please, we can work this out. I'll change, I'll be better, just please don't do this." Natasha leaned back in her chair, her hand still on her belly. "This is embarrassing. Benjamin, call security." And he did. He actually called security on his own wife. 2 men in suits came and grabbed my arms while I was still crying, still begging, juice dripping all over the marble floor. They dragged me through that massive house while the family just watched. I could see neighbors outside, phones out, recording my humiliation, the ultimate walk of shame. "Please, Benjamin, please," I screamed as they threw me out and slammed the door in my face. I stood there on the front steps, soaking wet, makeup destroyed, completely shattered. That was the moment I died. The old Arya, the one who believed in love and second chances and the goodness of people, she died right there on those marble steps. I need you to understand how we got there. 9 months earlier, I met Benjamin at a charity art gallery. I was dressed simply like I always did when I went out, just jeans and a nice blouse, nothing flashy. I'd learned to blend in, to observe people when they didn't know who I really was. That's when you see their true character. Benjamin approached me while I was looking at this beautiful painting. We started talking about art, about life, about dreams and ambitions. He was charming and sweet, and for the first time in years I felt like someone was seeing me. Not my bank account, not my company, just me. He didn't even ask what I did for work, not really. I told him I worked in technology, and he seemed satisfied with that answer. We started dating. Coffee shops, walks in the park, simple dinners at casual restaurants. He told me he loved that I wasn't like other women, obsessed with money and status. I thought I'd finally found it. Real love. Someone who wanted me for who I was inside, not what I could provide. After 3 months, he proposed. It was sweet and simple, nothing extravagant. "When you know," he said. I believed him. God, I was such a fool. We had a small wedding. I paid for half of it from what I told him were my savings. His family was there, and I should have seen the signs then. Gianna's fake smile, Jessica's whispered comments, Gregory's complete disinterest in getting to know me. But I was in love, and love makes you blind. The Harrison family owned a chain of luxury hotels. They were worth about $50 million. Comfortable, wealthy, but not ultra-rich. To them, I was just some nobody who'd somehow tricked their precious son into marriage. They made that very clear from day one. Gianna started immediately after the honeymoon. "Where's your family's wealth, dear?" she asked with this fake sweet voice. "Surely your parents left you something." When I explained that my parents had passed away when I was young and I'd built my life from nothing, the mask slipped. I could see the disgust in her eyes. Every family event became a battlefield. Jessica would accidentally spill wine on my clothes. Gianna would give me her old, worn-out dresses. "Charity for the needy," she'd say with a smile. Gregory refused to speak directly to me. If he needed to communicate something, he'd tell Benjamin to tell me. They had family business meetings that I was excluded from. "Family business is for family blood, not outsiders," Gianna explained. I was married to their son, but I wasn't family. I'd never be family. Benjamin started changing. At first he'd defend me, but it was weak, half-hearted. Then he stopped defending me at all. Then he started joining in. "Why do you have to work such long hours?" he'd complain. "Why can't you be home like a proper wife? Why can't you dress nicer? My mother is right. You embarrass us." I was working long hours because I was running a $12 billion company, but he didn't know that. He thought I was some mid-level office worker, and even that was too much for him apparently. What I didn't know was that behind the scenes, Gianna and Jessica were plotting. They'd invited Natasha to visit, Gianna's niece from her sister's side. Natasha came from a wealthy family, had the right background, the right breeding. She was perfect in their eyes. They pushed Benjamin and Natasha together constantly. Late-night business dinners that Natasha just happened to attend. Family events where Natasha was seated next to Benjamin. Weekend trips where Natasha was always included. They were setting the trap, and Benjamin walked right into it. The affair started 3 months into our marriage. I didn't know. I was too busy trying to be a good wife while running an empire in secret. Natasha got pregnant deliberately. That was her insurance policy, her guarantee that Benjamin would choose her, and it worked. After they threw me out, I went back to my small apartment, the one I'd kept even after marriage, the one Benjamin thought was all I could afford. I stood in the shower for an hour, washing the juice out of my hair, watching my tears mix with the water. I cried until I had nothing left. Then I looked at myself in the mirror, really looked at myself, and something shifted inside me. The sadness started turning into something else, something cold and sharp and powerful. Let me tell you who I really am. I was born into poverty. My parents died in a car accident when I was 16, leaving me with nothing but debt. I lived in a tiny apartment, worked 3 jobs to put myself through community college. But I had something more valuable than money. I had a brilliant mind for technology. At 22 years old, working from that tiny apartment with a laptop I'd bought used, I created revolutionary AI software that could predict market trends with 97% accuracy. I sold the first version for $10 million. Then I built more, better, smarter. I founded Stellar Dynamics when I was 23. We specialized in AI, cloud computing, and predictive analytics. Within 5 years, my company was worth $12.4 billion. Billion. With a B, I became the youngest self-made female billionaire in the country. But here's the thing about being a young female billionaire. Every relationship became about money. Every man who asked me out, who said he loved me, who proposed, they all wanted the same thing: my wealth. I was an ATM machine with a face. I had money but no real connection, no genuine love. So I made a decision. I would find love as a normal person. I used my mother's maiden name in my personal life, Aria Matthews. In the business world, I was Aria Sterling, the mysterious CEO who never did public appearances, who kept her private life completely separate. I had different email accounts, different phone numbers, different social media profiles. I lived modestly, dressed simply, drove an old car. I wanted to be loved for who I was, not what I had. And Benjamin? Benjamin was my test, my experiment in genuine love. I gave him every opportunity to ask about my life, my work, my dreams. He never did. He saw a simply dressed woman and assumed poverty. He saw someone without designer clothes and assumed worthlessness. His whole family did. The irony is actually hilarious when you think about it. They called me a gold digger when I was worth 240 times their entire family fortune. They humiliated me for being poor when I could have bought their hotel chain with the money I spent on coffee last year. But here's what really broke me. I had a surprise planned. For our 1-year anniversary, I was going to reveal everything. I'd secretly bought a struggling luxury hotel chain that would have merged perfectly with Harrison Hotels. I was going to gift it to the family, make them $200 million richer, and then tell Benjamin the truth about who I was. I wanted to help his family, to make them love me, to prove I was worthy. The contracts were sitting in my lawyer's office, ready to go. Anonymous benefactor was listed as the buyer. It would have saved their business and made them incredibly wealthy. But that was the old Aria's plan. The Aria who believed in love and family and second chances. She was dead now. I called my lawyer, Margaret, at midnight. Cancel the hotel gift. Send all those contracts to my office. We have new plans. Are you sure, Aria? She asked. She'd been with me since the beginning. She knew what this meant. Oh, I'm sure. They wanted to see a gold digger? I'll show them a queen. Over the next week, my team worked around the clock. We dug into Harrison Hotel's finances, and what we found was beautiful. They were drowning. $15 million in debt. Bad investments. Poor management. Gianna's luxury spending had drained their reserves. They'd lost 3 major contracts in the past month. The banks were threatening foreclosure. They were 6 months away from bankruptcy, and they didn't even know it yet. Through a network of shell companies, we quietly bought all of their debts. Every single loan, every line of credit, every mortgage. The banks had no idea who the new creditor was. Just another investment firm buying distressed assets. Then I bought the hotel chain I was going to gift them. But now, as their direct competitor, I upgraded everything, stole their best staff with better salaries, undercut their prices. Within 2 weeks, Harrison Hotels lost 40% of their business. The family received a letter. All debts called in, $15 million due in 30 days or face foreclosure on everything. I heard through my investigators that they had an emergency family meeting. Gregory was panicking. Gianna was in denial. Jessica was crying. And Benjamin? Benjamin was silent, probably realizing that divorcing me right when they needed money most was terrible timing. What about Natasha's family? Gianna apparently suggested. They're wealthy. But Natasha's father had done his research. Harrison Hotels was toxic, a sinking ship. He wanted nothing to do with them. Jessica actually said, "We should never have let that Aria girl go. Maybe she had some savings we could have used." The audacity. The absolute audacity. Then my team sent an email to Gregory's business account. Stellar Dynamics, a major tech company worth billions, was interested in discussing a potential partnership. Could the family come in for a meeting? They researched my company frantically. Massive, international. The CEO was notoriously private, never did public appearances. This could save them. This was their miracle. The meeting was scheduled for 2 weeks after the divorce was finalized. Perfect timing. I spent those 2 weeks preparing. Not just the business strategy, but myself. I went to the best salon in the city, got my hair professionally styled, had a makeup artist teach me the perfect power look. I bought a tailored burgundy suit that cost more than their monthly hotel revenue, Louboutin heels, a diamond watch that was worth more than their mansion. The morning of the meeting, I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. This wasn't the simple, modest Aria they'd humiliated. This was Aria Sterling, billionaire CEO, and she was about to burn their world down. I arrived at Stellar Dynamics headquarters. My building, my empire, 68 floors of glass and steel in the heart of the city. My team was already there. 4 lawyers, all in perfect suits, tablets ready. We went over the plan one final time. The Harrison family arrived looking desperate despite their designer clothes. They were intimidated by the building, by the luxury, by the sheer scale of wealth surrounding them. The receptionist directed them to the 45th floor, to the main conference room. I watched them on the security cameras as they waited. Gianna kept fixing her hair. Jessica was nervous, fidgeting. Gregory was sweating despite the air conditioning. Benjamin sat there with Natasha, her pregnant belly now very visible at 6 months. He looked miserable. Good. I waited exactly 5 minutes past the scheduled time. Power move. Let them sweat. Then I walked in. 4 lawyers behind me. Heels clicking on marble floors. Complete confidence radiating from every step. I'll never forget their faces. Gianna gasped. Jessica's mouth literally fell open. Gregory went pale. Natasha looked confused, trying to figure out why everyone was freaking out. And Benjamin looked like he'd seen a ghost. I sat down at the head of the table, crossed my legs, and smiled. Not a warm smile, a predator's smile. Hello, Gregory. Gianna, Jessica, Benjamin, and Natasha, is it? Thank you all for coming. Gianna found her voice first. What are you doing here? Is this some kind of joke? I pulled out my business card, slid it across the table. Aria Sterling, founder and CEO, Stellar Dynamics. I'm here because you requested a meeting about a $15 million investment. I believe that's what you need to save Harrison Hotels from foreclosure, correct? Jessica was frantically Googling on her phone. I watched her face change as she found the articles, Forbes, Fortune, Business Insider, photos of me at tech conferences, accepting awards, speaking at summits, all under my real name, my business identity. Oh my God, Jessica whispered. She's actually... The Forbes list. $12 billion. Gregory's hands were shaking. You're that, Aria Sterling? The billionaire? That would be me, I said calmly. Gianna was in denial. No, this is some trick, some kind of scam. I nodded to one of my lawyers. He placed a file in front of them. Inside was my passport, my tax returns, my corporate documents, everything verified and certified. Benjamin finally spoke, his voice barely a whisper. Why didn't you tell me? Why did you lie to us? I leaned forward. I never lied, Benjamin. Not once. You never asked. You saw a woman in simple clothes and decided I was worthless. You assumed poverty. You assumed I was beneath you. You never once asked about my work, my dreams, my life. You didn't care enough to ask. I let that sink in for a moment, watching them process. Then I continued. Let me tell you what I know about all of you. Benjamin, you started your affair with Natasha exactly 3 months and 4 days into our marriage. The first time was at the Riverside Hotel, room 412. You've met there 17 times since then. I nodded to another lawyer who pulled up phone records, hotel receipts, everything our investigators had found. Gianna stood up. You spied on us? That's illegal. No, Gianna. Protecting myself with legal surveillance is smart. You should try it. Although, speaking of illegal, let me play you something. I pressed a button on my tablet. Their voices filled the room, a recording from 2 months before the wedding. Gianna's voice. We need to get rid of this gold digger before she gets her claws too deep into Benjamin. Jessica's voice. What if we bring in Natasha? She's perfect for him. Rich family, proper breeding. Gianna's voice. Excellent idea. We'll push them together. Once she's pregnant, he'll have to choose her. The color drained from Benjamin's face. He looked at his mother, then at Natasha. You planned this? All of it? Natasha was crying now, but I wasn't done. Your text messages are interesting too, Natasha. The fool fell for it. You wrote to your friend. Once I'm pregnant, he's trapped. The other wife will be gone and I'll have everything. That was 2 weeks before you announced your pregnancy. Benjamin looked broken. The affair was one thing, but knowing he'd been manipulated, that his own family had orchestrated it, that was destroying him. Good. Feel what I felt. Now, I said, pulling out another folder, let's discuss business. You owe $15 million. To me. Through my subsidiaries. I bought all your debts 2 weeks ago. Gregory's voice was desperate. Please, we can work something out. I'll pay you back with interest. Just give us time, please. I looked at him coldly. Like you gave me time to explain at that dinner? Like you gave me dignity when your wife poured juice on my head and you just nodded approvingly? I turned to Gianna. You called me a gold digger, a charity case. You gave me your old clothes and humiliated me at every opportunity. I slid another document across the table, the canceled hotel chain merger. This is what I was going to give you, a $200 million hotel chain, as a gift. For our 1-year anniversary, I was going to make you wealthy beyond your dreams and reveal who I really was. I wanted to help you, to make you love me, to be part of your family. Gianna actually fainted. Jessica caught her, both of them crying now. Benjamin was staring at the contract like it was burning his eyes. Aria, please, I'm so sorry. I love you. I made a horrible mistake. Please, we can fix this. I stood up, looked down at all of them. You don't love me, Benjamin. You love what I can give you. That's actual gold digging, by the way. The irony is almost poetic. Meeting adjourned. You have 30 days to pay $15 million, or I foreclose on everything. My lawyers will be in touch. I walked out, heels clicking, head high, didn't look back. Behind me, I could hear them falling apart, shouting, crying, blaming each other, music to my ears. The next 30 days were glorious. Harrison Hotels filed for bankruptcy when they couldn't pay. Every property was seized and sold at auction. I made sure to buy the flagship hotel personally, just because I could. Their mansion was foreclosed. Gianna's jewelry collection sold to pay debts. Jessica's luxury car repossessed. Gregory is under investigation for financial fraud. Turns out he'd been cooking the books, hiding the extent of their debt. That's a federal crime. Benjamin lost his fake executive position when the company dissolved. Last I heard, he's working entry-level sales at a car dealership, barely making rent. And Natasha? She had the baby, a boy. She left Benjamin the day after he lost everything. I can't raise a child in poverty, she told him. She's now demanding child support he can't afford to pay. The courts garnished his wages. He's drowning. Gianna and Gregory are living in a small 2-bedroom apartment. No more luxury, no more status, no more country club. Their former friends won't return their calls. Their social circle evaporated overnight. Jessica is working retail at a department store. The same stores where she used to shop are now her employer. I've heard she cries in the bathroom during her breaks. Benjamin sent me 147 text messages. All blocked. He showed up at my building. Security removed him. He tried contacting my friends, my colleagues, anyone who might reach me. No one would help him. The local newspaper ran a story. From millionaires to nothing, the fall of the Harrison family. They're the town's biggest scandal, the cautionary tale everyone whispers about. As for me, I'm on the cover of Forbes this month. Tech's mysterious billionaire revealed the Arya Sterling story. My company has expanded to 47 countries. Stock prices are at an all-time high. I'm keynote speaking at women's leadership conferences, telling my story, inspiring others. I donated $50 million to domestic abuse survivors and women escaping bad situations. I created a scholarship fund for women in tech from poverty backgrounds because I remember what it's like to have nothing but your brain and your determination. And yes, I'm dating someone new. His name is Cameron, and he's an entrepreneur in sustainable energy. He knew exactly who I was from day one, researched my company before our first date, read all my interviews, understood my work. He loves my mind, my drive, my ambition. We have 3-hour conversations about technology and business and changing the world. Our dates are simple, coffee shops and bookstores, but the connection is real. He celebrates my success instead of feeling threatened by it. He asks about my day, my challenges, my victories. He sees me, all of me, and loves what he sees. That's what real love looks like. So that's my story. The family that called me worthless learned I was worth more than they could ever imagine. The husband who threw me away discovered he'd discarded a queen to keep a pawn. The mother who poured juice on my head lost everything she valued: money, status, respect, power. And me, I'm living my absolute best life, completely free, completely powerful, completely myself. Here's what I learned, and I hope you'll take this with you. When people show you who they really are, believe them the first time. When they treat you like you're worthless, don't fight to prove your value to them. Instead, take your worth and build an empire with it. Let them discover what they lost when it's far too late to get it back. Sometimes the best revenge isn't confrontation. It's not shouting or fighting or begging them to see you. The best revenge is becoming so incredibly successful, so powerful, so fulfilled that you barely remember they exist. It's living your best life while they drown in the consequences of underestimating you. Never let anyone make you feel small. Know your worth, even if you have to keep it secret until the perfect moment. And remember, the quiet ones, the underestimated ones, the ones people dismiss. We're usually the most dangerous. If this story resonated with you, if it gave you chills or made you want to stand up and cheer, hit that like button right now and subscribe for more stories that will absolutely blow your mind. Drop a comment and tell me, Team Arya all the way, or do you think I went too far? I genuinely want to know what you think, and I read every single comment. Share this with someone who needs to remember their worth today. Share it with someone who's being underestimated. Let them know that being dismissed is sometimes the greatest gift, because no one sees you coming. And always, always remember, never underestimate the quiet ones. We're usually the most powerful. I'm Arya, and this was my revenge. See you in the next one.